Well, look at that. The ongoing probe into President Trump's ties to Russia has leaked everything but proof. Some on the left say they finally found the smoking gun after the New York Times reported that Donald Trump Jr. met with a Russian lawyer to get dirt on Hillary Clinton 2 weeks after his father clinched the Republican nomination. Now, Trump initially acknowledged his meeting with the woman, which was attended by Jared Kushner and former campaign manager Paul Manafort, but claimed they were only discussing adoption laws because everyone loves adoption. He has since confirmed that the subject of the Clinton campaign came up, but dismissed the significance of the meeting in a tweet, saying, obviously, I'm the first person on a campaign to ever take a meeting to hear info about an opponent, went nowhere but had to listen. So is this the breakthrough the left has been waiting for, or just another overhyped attack on a president that they're sad they lost to? Joining me now, it's the editor-in-chief of the Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro. Welcome, Ben.
Hey, how are you?
I'm pretty good. You, however, have a greater legal perspective here. So let's figure out why people are upset about this. I think it's another distraction, and the fact that Donald Trump Jr. had to change his story and started with a softer version and then sort of got to the realer version is just another and sort of an ongoing communications flub. What do you see here?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the general rule here is never substitute a nefarious explanation where incompetence and ego would do. And I think that this one looks more like incompetence than anything else. It looks like Trump Jr. was approached by somebody, according to his own admission, who said that they had information on Hillary Clinton. He got Manafort and Kushner into a room with this person. I assume that there is an open question here about how important would the person have to be in order to get all three of those people in a room. I mean, I assume that like a rando from the street couldn't get all three of those people from the room. But at the same time, the next step in the story is the part that's missing, and that is, okay, well, was this the beginning of actual collusion, or was this just some failed pitch by somebody who had some links to the Russian government and it never went anywhere beyond that? So in other words, the meeting could be bad, but that still would not necessarily establish Trump-Russia collusion that resulted in any sort of material activity. And this is where the Democrats and the media have really exceeded their limits here. I think that they're trying to make accusations that are not backed up by this story. They keep saying, okay, well, this is the first step, and this demonstrates the whole thing. Well, there's a difference between the first step and demonstrates the whole thing.
Absolutely, and there's also a difference between coordinated collusion and creating some sort of a complex enterprise that marries, one state, Russia, with a future administration, and something where opportunists like Paul Manafort and this Russian lawyer are attracted to a political organization that has virtually no political experience. So the fact that there are so many neophytes running around trying to make deals, that was the lure for a lot of these people. The potential to be close to power with people who don't have any formal training in interfacing with the power mechanism.
I think that's right. I also think that Manafort has a long history of hanging around with very shady people, and so it's not really a surprise that people hanging around with Manafort end up kind of looking shady. So, there's a reason that Trump fired him in the middle of the campaign. There's a reason that Manafort is under investigation. Again, none of this actually traces its way all the way up to Trump. And this is always the biggest hole in the theory to me. Let's say that there was some sort of campaign collusion between Trump and Russia, which, again, there's no evidence to show this at all. But let's assume that even that were true. Why in the world would you assume that Trump even knew about it? Because if you were actually going to form a conspiracy, the last person on earth that you would ever tell about it is President Trump. I mean, he'd be on Twitter 5 minutes later tweeting about, I know something you don't know. It's a conspiracy, gang. Like, why would you possibly do that?
You're absolutely right. I mean, there are so many holes in the story, which makes it seem more and more like a conspiracy theory. But it doesn't mean that everyone is completely innocent of doing stupid things. I think there are a lot of people who were trying to seem like they were putting these great deals together, but it just goes to show you that maybe Donald Trump Jr. doesn't have the art of the deal like his dad does. Yeah,
I mean, again, I think that there's a lot of amateurishness here, and amateurishness is a better explanation than nefarious. They had some quid pro quo going on with Vladimir Putin, and they were in some smoky back room trying to decide how all of this worked. I mean, Jared Kushner spent no time in government. Donald Trump Jr. spent no time in government. Manafort's time in government has mainly been spent with Ukrainians. So this is not exactly the A-team here.
No, and again, like that's part of the magnetic force. Ben Shapiro, thanks so much for coming by. I hope you come back.
Thanks.
Very good.